Welcome to the Driver's Line. I'm Greg.
And I'm Jordan.
And today, we've got a conversation for you.
Yeah, our conversation today is about times when car makers gave some of their cars glow-ups, but other cars blow-ups, as they were revised from year to year.
Yeah, so we're going to just seek out some models that got a really nice revision and looked a lot better than they did before, and other ones that BMW's designers got a hold of and made a lot worse.
Oh, gosh.
We're
bringing up BMW again.
So, yes, we're going to keep bringing that horse up. It's beating it.
Just keep doing it.
Anyway,
we're making progress.
Yes, we are making progress. And BMW made progress because they just fired their head of design. Well, they didn't fire him. They moved him over to Rolls-Royce because Rolls-Royce have to look a certain way and he can't screw that up. So anyways, we're going to move on and start talking about some of our favorite glow-ups. And I am going to kick us off.
All right.
So I am going to talk about my first glow-up, and it is the 2024 Hyundai Elantra.
Nice. Okay.
So the previous Hyundai Elantra, I think, came out in like 22 or 21, had that really interesting styling. A lot of creases, a lot of angles. It kind of looked insectoid a little bit. It was a little strange looking, right? And so Hyundai kind of realized that and was like, hey, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and give this a nice little revision. And they revised the front fascia. I think they did a little tweak on the rear fascia as well. And it just makes it a much more cohesive package. It kind of like tones it down just enough, sort of like when Honda had the Civic Type R that looked all anime and crazy, and then kind of toned it back a little bit to the FL5. So it's a really nice little change that Hyundai has done for that 2024 Elantra.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's a great call out. I mean, it was a very busy design.
It still kind of is, but it starts to actually kind of ape a Lucid a little bit, right? With that light bar across the front, and it sort of looks a little bit like the Lucid Air. Obviously not as cool as a Lucid, but for a Hyundai Elantra, that's pretty neat.
It is, and credit where credit's due. They're one of the only ones playing up their sport compact game right now, and they're killing it with that Elantra. And before it was just so hideous. It would be hard to hop into one.
Right.
But now we're making some progress with their lineup, and they look a little bit more sophisticated, even though they're a little bit toned down. Sometimes less is more.
Right, exactly. In this case, I think it really works out really well for Hyundai, though, and the Elantra, so a nice change.
So, my first glow-up comes to us from the land of Stellantis, actually. Yeah.
One of our favorite topics.
Absolutely. But normally they're on the beating end of...
Yes.
it's a little rough for Stellantis. But let's give credit where credit's due, right? So back in the service years, they really tried to get every single penny that they could out of Dodge and Chrysler and Jeep. And even taking it back a step behind them, Daimler Chrysler, right? And that formation of that family, and honestly, Mercedes kind of took care of business there, and then stole some resources. But you know what?
But they gave them something back.
Got something. That's right. We got that old E-Class platform that we made a couple of cars out of.
Yes.
Namely, the most popular ones probably be the Dodge Challenger and Charger, right? When they came out, horrendous interiors.
Yeah.
Styling was different and distinctive, but could use some work to, make it a little more sophisticated considering where it sat in the range, right? So in 2011, they came through and started tweaking the outside, giving it more updated lighting, taking the styling and pushing it a little bit more, making it a little bit more sophisticated, still using the same old chassis. But no one seemed to complain about that.
No, as long as you keep making different Super B models and putting a little bit bigger engine in it every different time, and then throwing a supercharger on it finally when you start getting around to making your Hellcat. Everybody loved it.
But the biggest changes, besides the engines, was on the interior. And that's really where they stepped up the game because service was terrible at it. And they were using play school level interior plastics.
Oh, it was terrible. I mean, it was like the scratchiest, worst quality, like something that you would expect to see on like one of those little plastic storage units you shove underneath your bed.
Exactly. So, you know what? Credit where credit's due. In that refresh, I think it really brought it up a level. It made it more competitive and allowed them to use that ancient platform even longer.
Even longer, because now it is finally being put to bed.
That's right.
That's right. With, last ride, shotgun, Hellcat, red eye, blonde, whatever, version number 507. Here it goes. That's the last one for real this time.
When you don't have too many cars to deal with, I mean, you got to make sure what you got is working.
That's right.
You know, so there you go.
But no, a great blow up, and really, to me, like the biggest change on those was that interior. Yeah. The interior, they actually started putting some soft touch materials in there. They put like fabric on the doors, and like just a lot of nice changes. And those seats were a massive upgrade on at least the SRT models, you know, and things of that nature. And then you got the racetrack lighting on the back of the Charger, at least, and the updated, you know, LEDs and the nice projectors on the front too. So again, really nice change.
Absolutely.
My next call out is a car that we got to see win a major award.
A major award.
A major award. It is not a leg lamp, but it was the World Car Design of the Year. And the 2023 Toyota Prius of all things, won the design award literally over a Ferrari.
That's true. They were in the same category.
Yeah, literally beat a Ferrari out. The humble Toyota Prius. And I think that's because the World Car Voters, which is comprised of media like us, saw that how bad the Prius looked in the previous generation was literally one of the ugliest vehicles on the road. And now Toyota's actually made it something compelling. Like, it's something you would not mind to be behind the wheel. And so for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to include the Toyota Prius here.
And you know what? I just noticed something about your two Glowups. Is both of these vehicles went from super complicated designs, and we're toning it down. We're taking it down a notch in terms of detailing.
And making it something cohesive.
Make it clean. Yeah. Make it cohesive. It's going to elevate the look.
That's right.
I mean, and the Prius is fantastic looking.
Exactly. It looks like...
It's futuristic, but it's approachable.
Right.
Unlike Cybertruck.
Yes. All right, so that's our Cybertruck reference out of the way for this podcast.
Check. We can't give that a blow up yet because there's no second generation model. It probably won't be. But anyway.
No, the second generation actually won't have pieces falling off of it. Okay, moving along.
All right. So my next glow up is going to come from another domestic automaker.
Oh, you like keeping it real over on the state side.
Yeah. And this is a brand that we have actually done a Death Watch on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Fisker?
Not Fisker. It's Buick.
Oh,
yeah. So, you know, Buick has their revised Wildcat styling now on basically on every single model. They have graphed
Wildcat, all the things except for the Enclave, right?
And that has just recently been wildcatted with the newest revision.
Yes.
Just now, fresh. On some things it works. On some things it doesn't.
Like the Enclave.
I will say the Enclave I'm not a fan of. Yeah, I think we kind of...
The rest of the side was the problem is they just grafted the nose on it.
Yeah.
And then left the rest of the blobby, whatever,
the
same, which Wildcat angular, and doesn't go with blobby.
Yes.
So, sorry to interrupt you.
I'm here. But in 2024, Buick took, I think, a relatively good-looking Envision, made in China, we all know. But it had this kind of Euro styling to it. I dare say Alfa Romeo-esque. Okay? Had lots of curves to it. And they updated that styling, added the Wildcat styling. I think it actually really works on it. It's pretty balanced overall. But again, the interior on these things is ridiculous. I was actually able to rent one on one of my business trips. And I picked it out. I chose the Buick.
Did it have quiet tuning?
It had quiet tuning. It had awesome ambient lighting. It had cruise control that was smart. It radar scanned, but you could turn it off if you wanted to, and just use regular cruise control.
Well, that's actually really nice.
Yeah.
To give the option, because there actually might be times and situations where you're on a low traffic highway, right, where it makes a lot of sense to have the radar based cruise, where it's not going to be like slowing you down, speeding you up, slowing you down, and so but you still want someone to kind of be looking over your shoulder for you. But, I still prefer the standard cruise.
For sure. I mean, I had, honestly, no complaints driving that around. It was comfortable. It was quiet. The only thing maybe was, like, a buzzy engine.
Well, because it has, like a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo or something like that?
It's unfortunate because it is a quiet tuning kind of thing. But overall, though, the package is such a step forward compared to the previous one. And the previous one was pretty nice. The interior needed an update, and it got it. And it really is a standout in the segment. It deserves a look. I know it's a Buick, but sometimes you just got to get past that badge because it's a really great choice.
Yeah, what did you really rather have a Buick?
Wouldn't you? I really would in this
maybe
case.
now you would in this case. So,
choice.
yeah.
It's a good
Right,
choice.
maybe they're finally answering the question in the positive. So, this is from a Korean luxury brand.
Oh.
Since there's only one, it is obviously from Genesis. So, I want to call out specifically the 2021 Genesis G80.
Okay.
And so, the previous generation of the G80 was really, really bland. Like, I mean, it was just a car that would get lost in the crowd, and you're competing in a segment where you really need to stand out. Like, I mean, you need to stand out in a good way, not a bad way, like a BMW, but in a good way. You know, like the Genesis now does, like the G80 now does. It's real. Basically, went from bland to striking with all the updated lighting features they put on these cars. And I just think that design, and I've said this before in some of our podcasts where we've talked about the G90 being such a massive bargain because you can get it for less than the average new car price.
Yeah.
I mean, I think these designs from Genesis are going to stand the test of time. I really do. They're going to be compelling for years to come. And, with that warranty that they offer, as long as you buy it new, you'll at least have your Genesis running for the same amount of time.
I absolutely agree. I think Genesis has really hit some home runs in their design department. And we've talked about previously how Buick could probably take a page or two out of their
They could,
playbook.
Genesis is doing what Buick should be doing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, even like the Magma stuff aside, which we got to see at New York being demoed, but like, just with the folks that Genesis is targeting, this is what Buick could be doing, and they just aren't.
Yeah. I think it still could use some work, even though it did give them a glow up. It still could use some progress, and I think Genesis is really taking that design step where we're pushing some boundaries with some of the elements, but it's nothing that's so distracting and so divisive that it's going to alienate people.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I think they're walking that line perfectly.
They are, exactly.
They really are.
They're making the designs just compelling enough to be interesting to people, but not off-putting.
Yeah. And you got those signature styling elements that they keep on bringing in now.
And I love it. And they look good on every model. They really do.
They do.
Even like the updated G70, the G80, G90, all of them have these new lighting features. Works on the cars, works on the SUVs. I love it.
We like it.
Kudos, Genesis.
Kudos. I'm heading back to Stellantis, guys.
Stellantis.
I'm heading back to Stellantis. And we're going to go to a sister company for Dodge. It's Jeep.
Jeep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not much changed at Jeep a lot, but if we remember way back into the Cerebus days, we try to forget those. But they decided, Jeep needed some entry-level models, right? Because the Wrangler keeps getting more and more expensive.
Yes.
We didn't have a Cherokee at the time that was relevant. A Liberty, what's going on? So everything's too expensive. We need something cheaper, and this is in those Obama administration days, right, where the economy was kind of getting hit in a rough spot, and we're trying to get back on our feet. So Service said, you know what? Let's take an economy car platform,
Like the Neon.
and let's build not one but two compact SUVs on it.
Two compact
Two.
SUVs.
One of them, we're just going to take the old XJ, and we're going to shrink it down, do little shrinky dinks, pretend it looks like a Cherokee for the most part, and call it a Patriot.
Oh.
But for those of us who are blind and prefer to have horrible styling, we're going to create the Compass.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
If you forgot what the original Compass looked like, here's what it looks like. Yes.
Yes.
It's horrifying.
It is so bad.
It is horrifying.
It is just the worst interpretation of the Jeep grille
Yes.
and headlights
Oh.
and those stupid triangular turn signals. It is just the dumbest looking vehicle that has ever been made.
Horrendous.
Almost.
Horrendous.
It is literally on the short list for the dumbest looking vehicle ever made.
Yes.
We should do a pod on that.
And they tried to help it out with some grill swaps, and it just didn't work.
No, they tried to graft on like an updated, more Grand Cherokee-esque nose on it, and it still didn't work. Kind of for the same reason, like the Enclave Wildcat, version doesn't work, just because the rest of it was that derpy body, and they're like, oh, here's a nice squared off nose, and the rest of it's like curvy.
It just didn't work
No.
at all. So it went through I wouldn't say it's worse. It was just parallel, equivalently ugly.
Yeah.
But after that, they decided to start from scratch. They took the same concept. Let's go back to a compact car platform. Let's build an SUV on it, but let's actually make it mildly attractive. So the renewed second generation Compass came out, and it was actually palatable.
Yeah,
right?
it looks good, and it looks
nice.
like a nice little soft roader. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it really fills its niche as like a little around town runabout that looks like it could go off road, even though it probably won't.
Not only that, let's go back to interiors. We try not to remember the horrendous interiors of the Service era, but they're all equally terrible. Okay, horrible. The new Compass actually has like cloth on the dashboard.
Wow.
Like, this is like, I know. Hey,
Are we in a Mazda CX-90 here?
Excuse
No,
me,
we're in
right?
a Compass.
Yeah, but I mean, it took time to actually look at where people are spending their time. That's mostly on the interior, and we're not punishing them for buying a Jeep product.
You spend your time in the interior?
Yeah.
I thought you hung on to the outside. Crazy.
And even then, with the old Compass,
I know,
I'm
that
not
was
sure
still
you
not
want to,
great.
right?
Yeah, I know.
So I think they did a really great job with second gen Compass, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I mean, I hope they keep it up.
Yeah, no, good call out. Yeah. Massive improvement from the original Compass to the second, so
But
yeah.
it can't go much worse.
They don't even look like the same car.
Yeah, that's true.
Well done, Jeep. Well done.
Tune in next week to see what Greg and I have chosen for our famous Glowups episode.
Thanks for joining us on The Driver's Line.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss a thing.